Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to be discussing words and the power that we give them and the power that we give away. Hi, I'm Cheryl Piper, for those of you who don't know me. This is live with CherylPiper.com. And, I made a decision that I was going to change things up a little bit this week. I kind of left what I was going to do, set it aside, and I will probably be doing that next week. But just wanted to talk on this subject. And, really, I didn't prepare anything. I just want to talk with you, and hopefully you will want to talk back. So please comment in the comment box. And first of all, let me just say that if you are watching this on any of the shares that were put out, I need you to go over to my business Facebook page, which is Cheryl Piper, and you can find that on Facebook at Cheryl Piper Sends Love. And I won't be able to see your comments during the broadcast. I will be able to see them afterward, but I won't be able to see them during the broadcast unless you're actually on my Facebook page. So I'll just give everybody a minute or so to go over to at Cheryl Piper Sends Love on Facebook, and then I will be able to see your comments. So I think I'd like to start off with, you guys know, those of you who know me and have watched some of my programs, I am a relationship coach. I do talk about conversation a lot. I talk about words and how they create worlds. And I'd like to, put that over to the side, let's say that's over on my right hand. And on my left hand, I'd like to talk about something a little bit deeper than that. And that is the power that we give words. Thanks, Lisa. Great to see you. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with you today. And just put this message out there. Like I said, I've prepared nothing. I am just coming on to talk with you about the power of words and the power that we give words in our world. And I guess I should kind of maybe just tell a little bit of a story of, why I decided to do this. And I'm seeing a lot of things going on right now, whether it's in the media or in social media or people talking in general, and people talking about how they're offended. This person said this and that offends me. I don't want you to say that. And let's just start off with saying, I'm not talking about, talking badly with someone or using, bad words or cruel words. But if we step into a conversation with kindness and compassion, and that's our intention, to have a true conversation with someone, and this person comes back with, I don't want you to say that word, it offends me. I just thought I think I'd like to put some things out there about words and the power that we give away when we choose to be offended by specific words. And I did use those words very purposefully because we do choose that. I'm all about talking about responsibility, talking about personal responsibility and the choices that we make, because this is our energy to manage. We are in control of how we feel, and we do create our reality. Our perception creates our vision of the world, hence, creates our reality. So we do have power over that. And I just really wanted to talk about this today. So I'm hoping that we'll get some comments. And you know what? If you're watching on the live broadcast, I'd love you to comment live. That way it lets me know that you were on here live. And if you are watching on the rebroadcast, I would love for you to just comment, replay that, it's the rebroadcast. And that, kind of lets me know, because I'll respond to all comments, whether it's live or the rebroadcast. And again, please share this out to anybody, that you feel, may really benefit from what we're talking about today, which is choices. I guess if I had to sum it up, it's choices that we make in, well, quite frankly, giving away our power. That's really, like I said, I didn't prepare any notes for this. I'm talking here, and I just want to have a conversation about this. So, when I'm seeing things, and I've been in situations like this, and I'm sure we all have, when we're simply having a conversation with someone, and a word or a phrase that we say may upset them, and it could be a simple word like school, or I'm just picking a word out of my head, like high school, or maybe they had a bad experience in high school, and so when they hear you talk about using that in a sentence, it triggers something in them. And it makes them feel uneasy, and they don't want to think about that. So they say, oh, that word just really bothers me. So can you just not use that word? And sometimes what I'm seeing out there now, it's a bit more than that. I'm being as positive as I can be on this, because that I always come from that space of love and compassion and kindness, because that's where the magic is, and that's where we're going to meet each other. This needs to be discussed as far as the power that we are giving words and giving away our power to those perceptions, because that's what it is. It's giving away your power to a disempowered perception. And I'm here to discuss, let's take your power back. Take your power back, because we don't have to choose to be upset or offended by just common everyday words that anyone may use in a sentence. And how would that person possibly know that that word has a meaning for us, that maybe something hurtful or something from our past? So in thinking about this, these are really great ideas for us to dig down a little bit deeper, as far as if that word triggers something in us, then, maybe we need to look at that. Let's look at that emotion that it has triggered, and let's explore that and see how we can move past that. And this comes back to, my catchphrase as far as exactly what I do. My only job is to help you to discover and release or let go of those things that are holding you back. And, if we are going to give our power away over a word, and a word that someone simply said in a sentence, that they didn't mean it in any way to be offensive. And maybe I need to talk about that a little bit too. Let's talk about that space of being offended, because I'm hearing that a lot in the media. And I'm not going to name names because that's irrelevant. We're talking about the situation and this energy that's around this. So when I hear things out there and people say, well, people need to change their words so they don't offend me, or so that they don't offend. And I think to myself, wow, that is really looking outside of yourself. That's looking outside for someone else to fix what is upsetting you on the inside. And that's an inside job. If you're being triggered by a specific word, I had a situation a few years ago, I'll just share with you. It was, I was helping a group. It was a nonprofit group. And the word that you would use to describe what they were, when I used it, they said, oh, we can't use that word because that just offends people in our group. And I said, okay, I'm a little confused, because isn't that what this group is? Isn't that what your mission is? Well, yes, but we need to find a different word, because, that word upsets people. And, as I'm thinking about this, because, being a relationship coach and talking about and understanding communication and helping people to move past issues that they have, If a word is triggering a negative emotion in you, then dig deep into that and see what is that emotion that's being triggered inside of you, because that's where your job is. That's where the work is. That's where the lesson is. And when we can dig deeper into that and understand that, that's where we can release that situation and step into that forgiveness space of whatever that issue was that caused that trigger or that word to have power over you. For you to take your power back. I'm going to go back to the statement I made earlier. Take your power back. And when you do, and you release the emotion that was attached to that specific word, you just feel free. You feel light. That weight isn't, you're not carrying that weight around anymore. And so stepping into, I like to talk about the law of attraction as well, because when we are in a space of always looking for something to be upset by, or always looking for something to be angry by, because we have situations going on inside that we haven't forgiven, that we haven't let go. Well, guess what? Boy, there's just going to be something right around the corner that's going to be upsetting to you. You know, it could be, well, here's an example. Let's say you're driving down the freeway and somebody cuts you off. You know, this happens, and you get upset, and you know, you're talking to your wife or your husband about it, and you know, you're telling them about this guy that just cut you off on the freeway, and you know, I don't know what's wrong with people, and you kind of starting to spin on that negative thought pattern. And then the next thing you know, you stop at the store just to grab a few items. So you get in the checkout line, you know, it's 15 items or less. Well, guess what? The person in front of you has a cart full of groceries. Something else to be upset about, right? We attract these things to us. And so when we're putting those emotions out there and letting words control us in this way, and actually projecting it onto someone else, because that's what's going on here. If I have a word that's upsetting me because of something that happened to me in my past, that's my thing to deal with. But if I don't realize that, then I push it out. I project it onto that person who's speaking to me. And that person could be speaking with all wonderful intentions on having a great conversation with me. And they have no idea that this is a word that triggers an emotion in me. Instead of me dealing with that, I project my anger out. I project that because I don't know what to do with these feelings. I don't understand that this is something I have to deal with. And so bringing that responsibility back to ourselves is where we are going to be able to release all of these things that are controlling us, and we are giving away our power. You know, we need this energy in our energy space. We need this to be able to do our job every day, to be able to help others, to be able to be prosperous in what we do. We need that energy in our space to be positive, because if we create negativity in our energy space, that's what we're going to attract to us. And then it's like, oh my goodness, why are all these people showing up, and why is all this happening to me? And if we step back and we're able to look at how are we contributing to this? What are we doing in this dance? And you know, these lessons are just so wonderful in our life, because I often say, when we're in situations where, you know, it might not be a great situation and we really didn't, you know, get what we wanted, and it might not be the best situation. You could look at it as being something negative. And I often say, if we don't experience what we don't want, how could we possibly know what we want? And so if we look at, maybe it's going out on a date, and oh my goodness, I keep going out with these guys, and they just, that's not, there's something wrong here, there's something wrong here, and this isn't what I want, this isn't what I want. Well, if I didn't experience that, and if I didn't experience what I didn't want, when someone shows up that is exactly what I'm looking for, how am I going to know that without those experiences of what I don't want? And so I'm just trying to give you maybe a little bit different perspective. So it's stepping into that space and being willing to allow yourself to explore the feeling that that specific word is invoking in you. Because we see things through our window of perception. And like I said before, perception orders reality, and everyone is viewing through their own window of perception. And so when you get upset by a word like school, like I said, I just pulled that one out of my head, they don't understand that, and it doesn't seem rational to them. And if you stay in the space where, well, that word just offends me and that word upsets me, and I don't want you to use that word around me, then that doesn't seem rational when people use the word school all the time, and it's not something that's upsetting to most people. So stepping back and looking at the emotion that word is invoking in you, because it's not necessarily the word, it's the emotion that it's bringing up in you that is creating the upset. So if we detach those feelings from those words, if we can speak of, let me just grab this here. I can speak of this piece of paper. I can speak of it all day long. I have no emotion attached to it. It does not invoke any pain, any grief, any guilt, any shame, any anger, any of those things in me. And so we are freeing ourselves, because that's why I'm talking about taking back your power, because you're giving it away everywhere. You're giving it away to disempowering perceptions. And I believe that we're here to learn these lessons, to have these experiences come up. I mean, if it was a rose garden all the time, well, what would be the point? We're not learning anything. And so when we have these challenges come up, and we've all had them, but it's how we move through them, how we step through. Are we going to step through it and past it, of whatever that situation was, into a space of empowerment? And you are filled with power in that moment. I'm passionate about this because I've experienced this, and I just want to share it with everyone. Know that it is possible. It is possible to come through hard situations and come out on the other side and free from it. And so that's why I wanted to do this today. And I probably, I could go on and on on this for hours, simply because when we think about words, and I'm going to go back to where I started, words do create worlds. And what type of power are we giving those words to invoke an emotion in us? Are we giving those words power to inspire us? Are they inspiring words? Is that the emotion we're feeling? That's wonderful. Or are we using words, or are we hearing things that are creating things to disempower people? So once again, coming back, it's, really, to sum it up, I think I'd like to just say we need to explore how we're feeling when specific words are used and they trigger a negative emotion inside of us. Instead of projecting out and saying, well, that's offensive to me and you've offended me. And let me state that if I didn't state this before, because I said I'm kind of going off the cuff, no one has the power to offend you. You have the power to be offended or to allow yourself to be offended, because no one has that kind of control over you. No one can offend you. You can allow yourself to be offended. And believe me, there's been times that I've said that. I'm like, you know what? I think that, this is upsetting me, and I have to question what's going on here. And I take that responsibility back on me, because I'm the one who allowed myself to be upset by it. And so realizing that, and that kind of comes back to that hindsight moment I've talked a lot about, and I'll get into that more later. But boy, when you can shorten that hindsight moment between the time of the event of whatever happened that we perceive to have upset us or have been a bad event, and then we get to that hindsight moment of seeing, exactly what was going on. If we can shorten that hindsight moment, you're just a lot happier. The longer that hindsight moment is, the more unhappy people are. And sometimes people never get to that point. And this is why I'm putting these live broadcasts out twice a week, is to bring that message to those in need, to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a way to work through. There's things that are holding you back. And I had this up the whole time. I didn't mean to do that. I really just kind of, was going on there with what was happening and the emotions that were coming out of me. And I really wanted to share that with you in a positive way, because, what we're doing is taking back our power. And you know what? I know I've said that a few times, but it's so important for us to understand that we are powerful. I start this out with my meditations on Sunday evenings, and that's one of the very first things we talk about, that I say in that meditation, is that we are powerful and we have the ability to create magnificent things. And we have the ability to inspire people and inspire those around us to take action. We have the ability to connect with those around us that maybe we don't agree with all the time. But if we can bring respect to the table for each other, we can have a conversation. And if we can bring that responsibility for how we feel and how we're going to react to situations, if we can bring that to the table with us, that we're going to be responsible for how we react and how we feel about what's going on here, so that we can have a conversation to connect. There's just so much magic that can happen in the world. There's so much. So I guess my bottom line is when you have a word that's triggering an emotion, I guess I should say a negative emotion within you, instead of projecting out, sit with it and really look at what that emotion is and what's going on and how to move through that. So thank you so much. I am here, like I said, every Monday and Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Wednesday is my interview day. So I will be talking with Cheryl McGee. She's a nutritionalist. So we're going to be talking about food. So that will be fun. And thank you so much for joining me. Comment in the comment box. I always appreciate you being here. And this is live with CherylPiper.com. I'm Cheryl Piper. You guys have a great day.